I missed my period for 2 months, so I went to see a gynecologist. The doctor looked at my test report through her glasses. "Where's your husband? Didn't he come?" she asked. I shook my head, feeling a bad vibe. "He's busy with work, no time." This woman in her 40s gave me a sympathetic look. I was super scared, hoping it wasn't what I thought. If you're pregnant, make sure he takes good care of you. No matter how busy he is, his wife should be the most important. Yep, I was pregnant. The baby was healthy, so she just prescribed some folic acid. I took it absent-mindedly and sat on a bench outside the hospital. It was early spring, and the sun felt warm, but I was freezing. Because I didn't have a husband, just an ex-boyfriend. And we broke up last week. I didn't know what to do about the baby. Couldn't bear to get rid of it, so I decided to keep it. If not, I'll just become a single mom, tough as it might be. Monday, I went to work as usual. Felix came out of the office and stood in front of me. We had just broken up, and he went on a trip. Just as I imagined, he looked the same. Not a single sign of being upset like I had been for the past week. "Is this document your work? Do you want to see how messed up some of the data is?" Felix was always blunt when it came to work. We were together for over 2 years, never letting anyone know about us. I chased him like crazy, thinking I could melt that icy heart of his. Too bad I couldn't become his exception. Felix's eyes behind those glasses scrutinized me, and his tone got harsher when I zoned out. "Becky, did you have too much fun over the weekend? Need another day off?" He was being meaner than usual, not sure why. He didn't know I was carrying his kid, but pregnancy makes you emotional. I felt mad and guilty at the same time. "Yeah, those club guys were just too hot," I replied, trying to appear unfazed. His gaze turned colder, lips pressed into a tight line. I knew that was a sign he was very angry, but I wasn't scared one bit. If Felix dared to be mean again, I'd just quit. I mentally rehearsed my resignation letter, and then he spoke again. "Have it on my desk by lunchtime." That wasn't what I expected. Usually when he gets that mad, he either ignores me or takes it out on me in some other way. He was so calm this time. It showed there really wasn't any feeling left. I picked up the document. Last Friday, I'd asked the new intern Lucy, who I was supervising, to help submit it for me. Reviewing it, I realized the data was completely off from what I'd done. Thankfully, there was a copy on my computer. After checking, I confirmed my original work was fine. When Lucy returned from the break room, I walked over smiling. "Lucy, did you submit that document for me on Friday?" Her eyes looked a bit shifty. "Yeah, I did." "Really?" I was sure my data was accurate, but Felix says I made mistakes. Lucy jumped up, teary-eyed and apologetic. "Becky, I'm so sorry. I accidentally spilled something on it. The data was unreadable, so I reprinted it, but I must have made mistakes. We have lots of documents like that at work. It's easy to mistakenly use a template, just change the title and numbers." She wasn't lying about that part. I chuckled dryly. "So why didn't you call me?" Lucy glanced behind me, tears falling even more. "I did call, but for some reason you didn't pick up." I rolled my eyes. Here she was starting to lie. Last Friday, I was busy cleaning out all of Felix's stuff, phone in my pocket the whole time. Never got a call from her. I pulled up my call logs and showed the screen to Lucy. "Check for yourself, did you call or not?" Her voice got smaller, seeming a bit scared. "You could have deleted it." Before I could reply, Felix's voice came from behind. "Is it so hard to admit a mistake?" I wasn't sure who he was talking to. I turned to snap back at him, only to find his eyes on Lucy. "She trusted you with the document, and it was your mistake for damaging it. She can choose not to answer work calls after hours." Lucy's face turned pale, looking at me for help. I ignored her. She seemed to give up, dropping the soft act. She gave it to me in turn. "Isn't that her fault?" Felix shot her a cold look. "Her mistake was trusting a careless person like you. Shouldn't an intern at least be able to handle a document properly?" Lucy couldn't argue, her eyes glaring at me angrily. I felt confused. Felix had called her out, not me. Her resentment was totally unfounded. Was it just because he was good-looking? Go settle up with finance. We don't need fools working here. Felix's words, though always sharp, made me feel a little gleeful, especially when it wasn't directed at me for once. He then turned to me and said, "Come to the office." Unsure what he wanted now, I followed him, half expecting trouble. He leaned against his chair, eyes through his glasses fixed on me as if ready to scold. A minute passed, making me uneasy. Just when I was about to make a dash for it, Felix spoke. "I'm sorry." "What?" I looked up shocked. It was the first time I'd ever heard Felix apologize. He rubbed his forehead, looking a bit exasperated. "I shouldn't have spoken to you like that earlier." His apology caught me off guard. I didn't know how to respond. If he'd been harsh, I'd have fired back without hesitation. This was a first for us, a calm conversation since our breakup. I still remembered the hysteria on that day. Must have been a pretty ugly scene, screaming that loud. We fell into silence in the office, the atmosphere awkward and a bit loaded. I just wanted to escape quickly. "How's your week been?" This is the first time Felix asked me something personal during work hours. When we were dating, I used to pout at him in the office when no one was around, and he'd just give me a stern look. I laughed it off, said it's been good, not bad. Felix looked a bit down, but then a second later, he put on a serious face again. Maybe I imagined it. "Yeah, it's good you're not letting personal stuff affect work," he said. "Go on, keep up the good work." His eyes were kinda red, and I felt like he was about to cry. Then I shook off the thought, like, how could Felix cry? Pregnancy brain, they call it. Lucy started packing her stuff. She hadn't been here long, so it didn't take her much time. Before leaving, she whispered to me, "Congrats on you and Felix." I gripped my teacup. How did she know? Nobody at work knows about me and Felix. How did Lucy find out? She seemed familiar somehow, and I suddenly remembered seeing her while walking with Felix near our apartment. But what's the point now? We broke up already. I felt a bit upset, but still managed to smile at Lucy. "Thanks for the wishes." "We will," I said. Seeing Lucy's face twist for a second made me feel like a victorious old hen. As if Lucy could take me down. I've been with Felix for 2 years, and picked up his knack for driving people nuts. The company moved fast, and soon someone replaced Lucy's spot. The new intern was not only good-looking and sweet, but also really diligent. Definitely more likable than Lucy. "Hey, got time after work?" John asked. I glanced at him. His face was clear. No wonder all the older ladies at the company took care of him. "Why, what's up?" "Wendy and the team are having a get-together. I'm here to invite you." I looked at Wendy. She was winking like crazy. I got her drift immediately. Trying to set me up again. Wendy doesn't know I had a boyfriend before. She thinks I've never dated at 25. The truth is I just broke up, and don't want to jump into another relationship just yet. "Nah, I'm good." John looked a bit disappointed and lowered his head. "Is it cause of me? Wendy said you usually join them. If it's because of me, I'll just head home instead of intruding." Man, John reminded me of Lucy's green tea act every time she lazed around. But somehow John's act is kind of endearing. Wendy must have overheard because she flashed a smile. "All right, I'll go," I said. John perked up instantly, eyes shining like a puppy getting a bone. "Cool, we'll wait for you after work." "Sure." Such a sweet puppy. I scolded myself internally. Pregnant and shouldn't be thinking of all these not-so-good things. Suddenly felt a bit chilly. Turned around and saw Felix standing there with a teacup, expressionless. Wonder how long he'd been listening. His eyes were red again. I thought, maybe he has an eye problem, keeps getting red eyes lately. Should I suggest he visit the doctor? Nah, he's just an ex. None of my business. The gathering spot was this great barbecue joint. There were like 5 or 6 of us, so we snagged a private room. John sat beside me. While we waited for the meat, Wendy started chatting. "John, how old are you? Got a girlfriend?" John seemed a bit anxious. 22, and nope, no girlfriend. Wendy's smile was all squinty, and others started looking between him and me. "You got a crush then?" John's ears turned red. He shot me a quick glance. "Yeah." My heart skipped a beat. Seriously, does he like me? We've only known each other a few days. Wendy finally shut her mouth, and the teasing glances at us made me awkward. "Come on, where's our food?" "I'm starving," I said to ease the tension. "John, go check on it." He rushed out, face still flushed, and the room bustled as he left. Wendy laughed the loudest. "Hey Becky, see how John listens to you." I pretended to be annoyed. Wendy stopped joking around. John's shy. Wendy kept chuckling until her phone rang. She picked up cautiously. Hey Felix. Yeah, we are. You coming too? All right, we're at the barbecue place, room number XX. She set her phone down looking conflicted. So, Felix is joining us? I asked, picking up some lotus root slices. Wendy sighed. Yep, he said he wants to hang out and bond. The room went dead quiet because no one bought that. Felix had never joined our outings, so why now? Thinking of his serious work persona, I quietly set my chopsticks down. He's probably coming to confront someone, I thought. John came back with 2 plates of meat and started grilling. There were folks preparing the meat, so I brought these first. Eat up, everyone. He was a pro at grilling. You could tell he's done it before. He placed the first piece on my plate. Here you go, you said you were hungry. Considering we were all close colleagues, no one felt left out, but instead teased us a bit. Ever since I've been pregnant, I've gotten really hungry, and right now, I didn't care if I should be embarrassed or not. Thanks. Make sure you share with Wendy and the others too. Wendy waved her hand and reached for the chopsticks, saying to the people around, hey, no worries. Just take care of Becky, John. We'll eat on our own. That line was so full of innuendo, John got all red. I sighed quietly as I munched on the barbecue. John, fresh out of college, sure needs to get better at handling teasing like that. Look at him. His face is as red as a monkey's butt. He needs more practice. Sorry I'm late. Felix opened the door. His deep voice echoed in the room. Everyone stood up. Felix. He pulled out the chair next to me and gestured everyone to sit down. Go ahead and eat my treat today. The room fell silent, save for the sizzling sound of barbecue. Felix frowned. Why's everyone so quiet? Is this how y'all usually do these dinners? I couldn't help but roll my eyes and mutter. Who's gonna talk when you're around? I wasn't sure if Felix heard me, but he softened his tone. Am I making you uncomfortable? Just treat me like any other coworker. Even though he said that, no one else spoke up. Seeing his furrowed brows made me feel a little bad. 2 years of history isn't just forgotten easily, you know? John, give Felix some barbecue to try. John paused, picked a few pieces, and put them on Felix's plate. This one's really good, try it. Felix glanced at me, lightly thanking John. Thanks, nice skills you got there. John, being fairly new, wasn't too intimidated by Felix just yet. Hearing Felix praise his cooking made him a bit shy. Nah, it's really simple, eat up if you like it. Felix lowered his head and picked up some barbecue. Gradually people started talking. I exhaled in relief. The dinner was finally back on track. But then, thinking about how I stepped in to smooth things over for Felix earlier, made me want to smack myself. Oh well, a good dining vibe matters. Consider it for the little one in my belly. Here sis, eat more. John was all in, constantly placing food on my plate. Thanks, you eat some too. Aha, you first sis. Now that everyone had relaxed, Wendy started in on earlier jokes again. John really seems to care for Becky. Why don't the two of you just get together? I glanced at Felix next to me instinctively. His eyes darkened, with a smirk playing on his lips. Not a good sign. Nearby, John scratched his head. Wendy, quit fooling around. Felix suddenly spoke, as he nonchalantly threw a piece of meat onto his plate. Doesn't Becky already have a boyfriend? Wendy and John froze. I bit my lip. We broke up. Wendy came back to reality. Becky, not cool. Not telling us you had a boyfriend. But since it's over, move on. Life goes on, right? I nodded. Yeah, I'm looking forward. John was a bit curious about my breakup. He asked who broke it off. Wendy shot him a look, signaling he shouldn't ask, but she seemed interested too. Since it's been a while since the breakup, everything except his name is okay to spill. I did. Surrounded by curious eyes, I shrugged casually. Caught him with a hostess. I said it flatly. And everyone else seemed more worked up than I was. Ready to drag my ex out for a public shaming. Damn, what a jerk. Couldn't keep it in? Becky, good for you. Why hang on to someone like that? Sis, he's a total jerk. I'd never do that if I had you. They had no idea the guy they were ripping into was sitting right there, eating with them. Felix's face got darker and darker. All right, just eat. His voice brought an instant calm to the room, and everyone switched to safer topics for my sake. John looked at me puzzled. Sis, you're so great. How'd you end up with someone like that? I glanced at the jerk in John's mouth, feeling surprisingly amused. Maybe I was blind back then, fell for his looks. John seemed to gather some courage, looking at me. Sis, people say I'm pretty good looking too. Before he could finish, Felix's cup hit the ground, shattering. He looked expressionless at the mess. John's courage vanished, lowering his head, hiding behind his long lashes. I'll get a waiter to clean this. I got up, walking past John, out of the room, planned to turn him down. But he never finished talking, so it felt wrong to reject. Ugh. Regret he didn't get to confess? A voice followed me, Felix grabbing my arm from behind. None of your business. I glared at Felix, trying to shake him off. Heh. He chuckled softly, sending shivers down my spine. Great, here we go again. None of your business? Becky, how long's it been since the breakup? And you already like someone else. Felix's eyes turned red, seeming to hold back tears. The hallway on the third floor was empty. I didn't have to worry about people finding out about us. And you? Couldn't keep it together even before our breakup. Messing with a hostess. At least I waited. My words seemed to strike him. He let go of me slowly, voice more determined than I'd heard before. I didn't mess with anyone. She got my number herself. Honestly, I believed Felix. He was decently high-minded. Even drinking on business was a chore. But our issues weren't just about the hostess. She just lit the match. I joined Felix's company right after graduating. That face hit every one of my aesthetic points. And his work ethic had my heart racing. So I started pursuing him. Not only do I check on him, but I also sneak him breakfast. Back then, with all my love, I bravely jumped into a pit called Felix, and finally, after a year of trying, he responded to me. He agreed through a text. It wasn't formal, but I was so happy I cried. But a girl's dream always fades. Felix isn't a romantic guy. We usually just hang out at home. He'd read books while I watched TV. He didn't care about holidays or anniversaries. He even missed my birthday for a work trip, and just called to apologize. Gradually, my heart grew cold, and I broke up with Felix. That night we both drank a little too much, and ended up in a mess, asleep together. After that, he moved into my place. I didn't push the breakup anymore. Maybe this level of closeness meant he did have feelings for me. But he was still the same as before, except for being really passionate in one area. Other than that, he stayed the same old guy. I felt exhausted and needed a break. I hadn't planned to break up. I thought we could talk things through and try to save our relationship. But while he was in the shower, I got a call on his phone. Felix, remember room 306 from last week? That sentence felt like a splash of ice water, and I lost my mind. All my long-standing frustrations burst out. I threw his phone and stood at the bathroom door questioning him. He wrapped himself in a towel and came out, speaking as calmly as ever. I don't know her. I believed him, but that was all he ever said, just like many times before. He never held me or comforted me, told me not to get mad. I remember being so angry. I smashed a vase on the table and yelled at him to leave. We broke up, saying it felt like a weight lifted. His eyes were a bit red, but he had no expression. He asked if I was serious. Yes. After I said that, he gave me a long look, then got dressed and left. That night and many after, I cried like an idiot, leaning against the bed. My thoughts came back to the guy in front of me. He hadn't spoken, like he was waiting for my answer. I believe you. Felix's eyes brightened, and he suddenly hugged me. I'll move back tomorrow. See, another announcement. The man doesn't comfort me. He thinks just because I said I believe him, it's all over. I pushed him away, looked into his confused eyes. No need. Why? His eyes showed misunderstanding and fear. I said I believe you. Not that we're getting back together, okay? I turned and left. I'd taken too long. And if I don't get back, Wendy will get suspicious. When I returned with the waiter, Felix was still standing there. I ignored him, went past, and told the waiter it was for this room, thank you. The waiter nodded and went into the room, and I followed. I thought to ask Felix, aren't you coming in? No, I've got stuff to do. Let me know what it costs tomorrow. His voice sounded odd, almost nasal. I didn't think much about it, and closed the door to the room. Everybody inside had heard Felix say he had things to do, so no one brought it up. I felt down. I said everything that needed saying, but wasn't happy. Sis, try this. John placed a piece of grilled fish in front of me, and I suddenly felt nauseous. I used to hate fish, and it got worse since getting pregnant. I rushed out to the bathroom and threw up. After cleaning up, I surprisingly found John looking at me at the door. What? Can't I just have an upset stomach? He shook his head. Sis, you look just like my cousin when she was pregnant. I kept my mouth shut. No way he actually knows I'm pregnant. John gave me a bottle of folic acid. My cousin was prescribed this during her pregnancy too. I got mad. Didn't expect John to be the kind to take stuff. He shook his head. You dashed into the bag, and it fell out. I stayed silent. John sighed, stepped closer to me, and asked, have you decided what to do about the baby? Keep it, I said, shocking John. Caught wearing a green hat and still having his kid? This was John's first time not being snide. A bit hard to get used to. It's my child, not related to him. He seemed to accept that. Alright, if you need anything, hit me up. John and I went back to the room one after the other. Wendy showed some token concern, then went back to chatting. I let out a sigh of relief, glad nobody figured it out. Felix went on a business trip again, this time for 3 days. But unlike before, he brought everyone in the executive office gifts. Mine was some pastries I love, which are only available in the city he visited. Usually, I'd have to wait days for them to be delivered. Sis, what did you get? Food. What about you? John seemed puzzled. I got a can of green tea. Everyone's gift was different but of similar value, so it wasn't a big deal. Becky, come in. Felix knocked on my desk to remind me. Under my coworker's sympathetic eyes, I walked into his office. Was it good? I was a bit confused. What? He looked expressionless, sitting at his chair watching me. The pastries I brought. Was Felix on something? Did he eat something wrong? They were good. He squinted. Good? An instant recall of his overpowering authority sent shivers down my spine again. Delicious. I answered firmly, showing just how much I enjoyed the pastries. I'll get you more next time. You've lost weight lately. I was wide-eyed at Felix being so tender. Does he know I'm pregnant by any chance? You think I've lost weight? His eyes were full of concern. Yeah, seems like you've gotten skinnier. No kidding. The little parasite inside me isn't giving me peace. My pregnancy symptoms are severe. Losing my appetite and weight is par for the course. Do you know why? I cautiously asked him, afraid of hearing what I didn't want to hear. I'm not sure, but you definitely haven't been taking care of yourself. Maybe I should move back in to take care of you. I was surprised by Felix's nerve, but also glad he didn't know yet that he was going to be a dad. No need, it's not appropriate. All right. He seemed to expect my response and didn't say anything else. When I was about to leave, I heard Felix behind me. Becky, this time it's my turn to chase you. I know how bad I was before, and I swear I'll change. Suppressing a smile, I replied coolly. Nice, playing it cool, neither accepting nor rejecting. I happily went back to my seat, tossing a piece of pastry into my mouth. Honestly, not getting rid of this baby is a sign that I still had a bit of hope for Felix. To be fair, he was barely a decent boyfriend. At least in that department we clicked well. Thinking about his heroic acts makes me a bit nostalgic. If he really could change, getting back together isn't out of the question. Everyone in the company knew Felix was after me. He was very public about it, sending flowers and gifts, trying to make up for what he owed me before. John looked more and more wistful. Sis, are you tempted? Is it that obvious? I touched my face. Oh, I have been smiling the whole time. No, don't be ridiculous. He sighed. Is the kid Felix's? I was startled and quickly covered his mouth. Checking around cautiously, I relaxed when I saw no one noticed. Watch your words. My reaction was too strong. John must have caught on, pouting. Then why don't you just agree to be with Felix? Do you really want to be a single mom? Ever since Felix started chasing me, John's real self came out. No longer the charming kid he used to be. He treated me poorly before. He deserves to suffer a bit. No way he gets off easy. You're right. John got even more animated. He shouldn't get off easily. Sis, don't be swayed by those sweet gestures. I felt a bit guilty. What if I already am swayed? Felix came by with lunch again. Wendy and the others didn't dare to look up. Becky, here's your favorite. I kept a straight face. Just leave it there. Felix placed the lunchbox down and stared straight at me. Eat it while it's hot. It's not good for you if it gets cold. I gritted my teeth. How could anyone resist such a gentle Felix? I was really about to cave. John rushed over, grabbed the lunchbox without looking at Felix, and turned to me. Sis, I'm starving. Can I have it? Damn, why should I let you eat it? Take it. Girls really say one thing but mean another. I felt a bit guilty, afraid Felix would back off because of this. When I was pursuing him, I went through worse. But he just got teary-eyed, his voice hoarse. It's okay, I'll bring you more next time. I felt relieved. He was more serious than I thought. Tomorrow's my checkup day, so I took half the day off. Knowing Felix's old self, he wouldn't have approved since I just wrote I was in a bad mood. But current Felix just looked at me and asked why I felt that way. No idea. He frowned a bit but approved my leave. Go relax, I'll give you a day off. I walked out with the leave slip, and John came over. Got it? Of course, who do you think I am? He pouted. Felix is so two-faced. Last time I said I was in a bad mood, he told me to focus on work to feel better. Alright, stop talking and get back to work. The next day, I was at the hospital. It was extra busy, and I got up late, lounging in the waiting room. Close to noon, I finally finished a series of checks, and went into the doctor's office with my report. It was the same female doctor as last time. Not bad, but you should eat less. Too big a baby is tough to deliver. Blame that fool Felix. He keeps feeding me 5 times a day, with food he knows I love. I've gained quite a bit. And I'm here. John suddenly appeared at the door, startling me. Why are you here? The female doctor looked back and forth between us. Ahem, this is my nephew. You guys know each other? I nodded, coworker. The doctor seemed to relax and looked at John. What are you doing here? John held a lunchbox. Uncle made your favorite for lunch, so I brought it over. Leave it there. Just follow those instructions. It's already 3 months, you can start. John seemed ready to freak out. Auntie, let's go. The doctor looked puzzled but nodded. I followed John out of the office. He walked cautiously beside me. Amused, I asked, what's up? The hospital is crowded, you should be careful. I know John's feelings for me, but I'm pregnant. Even if Felix and I don't end up together, I don't want to hold him back. John, you'll find someone better. He was stunned by my sudden remark, silent for a moment. I know, but at least let me protect you for now. All right. I shook my head, resigned. Even though Felix gave me the day off, I went to work in the afternoon. Summer afternoons make you dozy, and I was nodding off at my desk. John came up to me. Sis, we're in trouble. What? Barely awake, I took his phone. The company group chat was on the screen. All the employees were in there. Lucy posted pictures of John supporting me, looking very intimate. And you could clearly see the sign for obstetrics in the background. She added a line. I was with my friend for a checkup and stumbled upon this. Isn't Becky dating Felix? Why is she with another guy at the OBGYN? The company's group chat was huge, jam-packed with people. So after Lucy left, no one noticed she was still in there. Normally the group was lively. After Lucy's post, there was dead silence. Everyone at the company knows Felix is pursuing me. I felt a chill when Felix came out of the office and stood in front of my desk. His eyes were red, like he was really about to cry. He ignored John, who was next to me, and stared straight at me. Explain. I nervously stood up. Just calm down, let me gather my thoughts. Felix didn't say a word, just seemed to be waiting for my answer. I looked him in the eyes, afraid he was about to shed tears. This kid is yours. I heard Wendy's cup drop and break on the floor. Mine? Felix seemed a bit confused. You mean the one in your belly is mine? I felt like Felix was acting strange, but I nodded, yes, yours. The man in front of me spoke cautiously, sorry, I'm just really happy. Did I scare you? Don't be afraid, Felix's tall figure quickly turned and went back into the office. Everyone outside the office was more confused than the next. He cried? I suddenly remembered that whenever Felix's eyes got red, he'd either lower his head or leave. So he was actually crying? It felt like I was meeting Felix for the first time. John looked like he didn't know what to say. He tugged on my sleeve. Maybe you should go comfort him? Felix is still a man and now, he's probably lost all face. In the office, Felix was wiping his tears with tissues. I walked over and hugged him. Don't cry. I was going to tell you. He sniffled and turned to hug me back. Sorry. I didn't consider your feelings before. I promise I'll be a good dad. I hesitated a little. It seems like everyone outside knows you cried. He casually shook his head. It's okay, as long as you're back. I got back together with Felix. Everyone at work was shocked, as our 2-year relationship was no secret. Now I'm like the boss's wife, and we have an adorable boy who looks a lot like Felix. Ever since that crying incident, Felix has been like a leaky faucet. He cries over anything, and I can't do anything about it. He seems to have found my weak spot, even shedding tears when he's feeling down. What can I do? I just spoil him, I guess. Gotta pamper my own husband. The end. Bonus, Becky. John is already 3.5. He hardly ever cries. Even when he's upset, he just pouts. I asked him why he doesn't cry. John's answer was, because Dad cries all the time and it's embarrassing. Boys shouldn't cry. One day, I accidentally found a notebook in the study drawer titled Crying Diary. I opened it out of curiosity. Middle school is too hard. Don't want to go. Cried for 2 minutes. Oh, didn't do well on the exam. Cried for a minute. I found it kind of funny, realizing it must be a log of Felix's crying spells. Flipping ahead, I finally found the page where I first appeared. Becky started dating me. Cried for 5 minutes. Becky said something that upset me today. Cried secretly for 3 minutes. Finally got Becky for real. Shed 2 tears. Feels great. Becky wants to break up with me. She said she was serious. Cried for half an hour. I kept flipping through, my emotions mixed. On a business trip for a week, miss her. Stared at photo and cried for a bit. Don't remember how long. She said she had a good week. Cried in the office for 5 minutes. She wouldn't let me move back. Cried in the hallway for 3 minutes. Can't let her see me like this. Wow, I'm going to be a dad. Cried for half an hour. Got the marriage license with Becky today. Held back tears. Becky must be in a lot of pain giving birth. She screamed terribly. Never want any more kids. Can't cry, afraid she'll worry. I suddenly recalled the day my water broke. Felix calmly prepared everything, but his hands were trembling. Yet he didn't cry this time. Becky, I'm here. I'm your husband, and I'll always be with you. His voice was choked. He was holding back tears. Bonus, Felix. I've always been emotional and prone to tears. Despite the doctors my mom took me to, nothing helped. I just really cry a lot. Becky is the bravest girl I've ever met. I don't cry at work. Always keep a straight face and scold others. People are scared of me. But not Becky. She seemed to like me. Always making food for me. Reminding me to dress warmly. I never imagined someone would like a crybaby like me. I started dating Becky. But I didn't know how to have a relationship. I thought as long as we were together, nothing else mattered. So, I neglected her feelings. The first time she said she wanted to break up, I was furious. I drank a bit and ended up. Well, anyway, no regrets. I'll take responsibility. But we still broke up. I thought we needed a break, so I went on a business trip. But Becky seemingly took the break too seriously. She really didn't want me anymore. So I cried again. On another business trip, I met a friend who knew a lot about relationships. I asked for his advice. His eyes almost popped out when he heard about my daily life with Becky. He said Becky must really love me. Of course, look at who I am. But then my expression grew grave, realizing how couples should interact. That's when I realized how off I'd been. Luckily, Becky came back. I didn't lose my moon. Bonus, John. The first time I saw Becky was during my freshman year in college. Her poise and eloquence in a debate left a deeply lasting impression on me. Each word was logical and precise, leaving her opponent defenseless. In college, I was pretty average, barely landing a decent job after graduating. But then I ran into her again. This time, I wanted to try to get close to her. Even though I didn't succeed, I don't regret a thing. At least she is happy now. The end.